Do I have a mic yet? Oh, sounds like I got a mic. Hi, I'm Mike. I would like to say hi. On behalf of all my team and the distribution group, I welcome you to Convergence, and I welcome you to our distribution session this afternoon. We have I have a personal goal to share a few minutes of my time and try to go over some trends to get everybody on board with a little bit of thinking beyond a wave of technology. I like to share just kind of my experiences from going from an event to an event and help you understand maybe some thinking that you can take away. I go to lots of conferences, I take lots of notes, I bring home lots of stuff, and then I forget about it. And if I can ask you to maybe try to take one or two things away from our session today, I would appreciate it, and that's my goal. This is my 17th Convergence, I'm happy to say, and we've only had 17, so I've been lucky to be at all of them. Some of those were before Microsoft. For those of you who might predate the Microsoft purchase in 2001. Do we have any people in the room from that time frame, maybe back 12 years ago? Hey, we do. Mm-hmm. It's nice to see lots of people that I've met over the years, and I appreciate you coming to this session today. The goals are going to be broken down in three areas for me. I'm going to spend a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes or so, talking about trends and trying to help you maybe identify in four kind of buckets. And then the second thing is we're going to have Eugene come up. Eugene's on our team, the distribution team, and is one of our solution architects, and he's going to give an overview of some of the R3 data, particularly WMS, TMS, which is the kind of the biggest offering we have this year coming out in the distribution sector. So I'm surprised to see this many distribution people in the room. Is everybody in here essentially focused on distribution? And I'll take distribution as kind of a broad term. Uh-huh. All right, thank you. Good, that's good. I really am surprised to see that many people. I'm from, I just got to tell you, I'm from the West. I live and keep my home in Fort Collins, Colorado. I'm from Michigan, but I live in the West. I have for about 20 years. And when I saw my time for this session, I thought, 5 o'clock, I thought of that Jimmy Buffett kind of song, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So I'm thinking maybe I should have invited New Belgium, our customer New Belgium, to be on the speaking circuit here as they were last year. But okay, so I can't take too much time so that we get through all these pieces. But the last thing we're going to do is I've invited two of our customers in kind of two segments, and I'm going to review the segments a little bit. But in two segments, one a manufacturer who distributes, and two a pure buy-sell distributor. So we're going to hear from some customers on the second half of our program today. Okay, everybody with me? And thank you for not going to happy hour yet. I'll tip you when we finish here. All right. This is a disclaimer slide that just showed up on my deck when I was looking through it about an hour ago. So whatever the purpose is, you have to read all the fine print. It's the guy that talks really fast on the radio says, and we're not liable for anything. Okay? Everybody good with that? It's 5. I got the end of the day. I'm trying to keep everybody like kind of thinking about good stuff. All right. I'm happy to say and proud to say that about 9 years ago, I was in what we call an SSP role, which is basically someone who coordinates for Microsoft in the field the sales process for our customers and also for our partners. And I got the opportunity to tell our leaders that we were kind of missing kind of things to sell. AX was very cool, but I was selling GP at the time in my role. And I'm happy to say that it took a few years, but we're now aligned in our Dynamics group, particularly in the US sub, which I work for in industry. And that does a lot. It helps us to serve our customers, helps us to serve our prospective customers, and even more important, it helps to align our teams to begin to think more, like I'll say, granular about the solutions we're offering. Rather than to throw out applications, we want to throw out domain skills too. We go to distribution in our market today with partners because of all the industries, and I started out my role in here in the public sector group. We have a pretty mature public sector team, very dedicated at Microsoft. And then I moved into manufacturing, and I realized that nobody was doing distribution, and I asked to do it. And then I found out, a lot more about it. I found out how hard it was and wish I could have backed out and gone back to manufacturing. But anyway, so today we're aligned by these 6 industries. And in particular, I'd like to go a little deeper on the distribution and CPG industry, which is what I work on. If I break that down I'll break it down into 3 buckets. Over on the right is transportation and logistics, which includes 3PL. 3PL is going to be real important in our futures. It includes, of course, the transportation business. It includes moving and storage. Some of our customers in this area, I have a real fun customer, Biaggi Brothers, out and their partners in the room. Biaggi Brothers is in Napa, and they, over time, like 40 or 50 years, 2 brothers, and I don't know if the brothers are still alive, but all the children are, and they take everybody's wine, and they transport it. They transport it from crushed wine into other locations to be bottled, but they take everybody's wine and they move it around in the world. And they have some 800 power units for those of you in the transportation industry. And I don't know how many trailers, but usually trailers are about 2 to 1 on the power units. So really nice, shiny company running Dynamics AX. And then in the middle is our group that I define mostly for our internal people around the food and beverage space. We call consumer goods or manufacturers who distribute. Now, the distribution in this usually involves a lot less SKUs than the stuff on the left. But in the middle, we have a lot of cool clients. Let me share Dakine. They make backpacks. I have 3 sons in various ages of maturity. And I'm living in Colorado. Dakine is a really cool company that makes backpacks. We also have a couple of other interesting companies in this space, particularly in the food, but in the beverage spot we have New Belgium Brewing. For those of you who were on the main stage presentation this morning, our wonderful customer New Belgium, which happens to be in my hometown, was on stage. We have Patron Spirits, for those of you who are going to leave here and have more fun than listening to me talk. And then also Chobani. And I'm happy to say that Maureen Hurley is going to spend a few minutes telling us a deeper story than she did on stage today. And then on the far left, I left that one for last because that's the one that's really tricky. And for those of you who are in this space, I have empathy for you as business leaders or stakeholders or participants. This difficult area on the left I call buy-sell, which is simply the business of buying goods and selling them. A lot of my colleagues at Microsoft are learning that this space is a lot more than fulfillment, which, we're going to talk about fulfillment, and Eugene's going to look at the overview of the WMS, TMS a little bit. The complexities of this business are in the order-to-cash cycle. So we're going to take a little time to look at the product, product solution before Eugene. All right, so on the trends, I don't know what I did there, but I'll try not to do that again. So there's a lot of sessions. The purpose, one of these big goals we have for this is for you to get an idea of what we're about to release in R3, particularly on the WMS, TMS. I'll say that quite a few times, but there are a lot of sessions. There's also the expo. We've set up a kiosk for distribution. We've set up a kiosk for transportation and shipping, and I encourage you to go to those. As far as the trends go, I kind of place them in 4 buckets, and this is what I think about when I think of a customer or a prospective customer trying to do all the stuff we heard this morning, which is how do we take our company to the next level and become the best company for our customers? And I look at those buckets in 4 ways, and I think my advice to all of you, as I spend a lot of time in my life these days with distributors, particularly on the left side of that previous slide, is you've got to kind of look at 4 big areas. And so I'm going to go through the trends of the distribution industry a little bit. I'm going to go through the technology trends that you can blend together with that. And then beyond that, business processes. And finally, I'm going to spend a few minutes on business applications. If you take any one single bucket and you try to approach your company for value add, and you don't include the other ones, then the rest of the people in your company or your customers aren't going to be able to follow you as well. So that's why I wanted to spend my time talking about those trends. And so I'll put the first one up here. On the demographic side, one thing that most of us don't think about, which I would hope that you would, there's a good book out there, and I might bring up a few volumes here in the next few minutes, but there's a book called Abundance. And for those of you who have never read Abundance, it's by Peter Diamandis. And if you read that book, it will give you a new perspective on where we're going. And his book is about, hey man, we're not running out of water. We have more water than probably most planets in the universe. And he's this kind of thinking guy. So see if you can take a chance to read that. But if you don't know who he is, he's the guy that wanted to go in space and created this idea that, hey, I can raise $10 million and entice a company or maybe companies to go up in space. And the deal was you had to go up in space twice within 18 months, and you had to take 3 passengers, 2 pilots and the author, Peter Diamandis. So he gets, and you have to do it twice because he didn't have $10 million. So he found a woman who also wanted to go in space who had $10 million, and she ponied up the $10 million. And as maybe some of you don't know about this story, but for those of you who do, one of the companies that probably spent a lot more than $10 million got into space twice with an aircraft, and they took Peter up there. So you need to read his book. But one of the things he says about demographics is all of us are evolved from like 2 million years ago. And if you go back 150,000 years ago, our systems, our brains were wired in a linear and local way. So everything they did was largely within one day. And they didn't, travel any further than one day's distance. And the reason why I tell you this is because we're not in a linear and local world anymore, but our brains are still wired for that. And I have to tell you this on demographics because if you're in the distribution business particularly, we have to move forward and think beyond functional stuff and start thinking, a lot deeper on how people are changing and how, baby boomers like myself, I'm in the kind of tail end of the baby boomer, but we have to get to a point where we think exponential. And we're not wired that way. So just to put exponential in kind of a perspective, if I took 30 linear steps, and say steps 3 feet, a meter, I'd go 30 steps, right? If I took 30 exponential steps, this staggers me, but do the math, I'd go around the globe 4 times. It's like 20-some thousand whatever steps around or miles around the earth. So exponential is real important here. And so I want to drive that home. Amazon, I won't spend a lot of time on, but for those of you who compete with Amazon, Amazon's not going away. Business as usual is not going to be the same. And if you think of it exponentially, then we're not going to drive from the way we build our systems and solutions today for a distribution company and everything's cushy because there's Amazon. Has anybody ever bought anything from Amazon in this room? Yeah, most of you are raising your hands. Okay, so Amazon's real important. On the customer expectation side, I have to look at a note once in a while because I'm just too old to remember everything. So I think of loyalty. And how many people think that customers are, how many of you are loyal today? I think loyalty is a word that you need to write down and consider. I'm loyal to United Airlines, but not because I love United Airlines, because I only get a good seat if I keep flying on the same airline. But they are doing some things different that you can do as well. When I call them now with a problem or a lost bag, I get somebody who says, "Is this Michael?" Oh, I didn't probably tell you my name. My name is Michael Shoemaker, but they already know who I am when I call. So think about that area. On the differentiation and data, I hear a lot about big data. And if I didn't put big data on here, I just put data. Because there's another thought I have about data. There's a guy who wrote a book called What Technology Wants, and his name is Kevin Kelly. And Kevin writes in his book, he quotes a guy named Eric Schmidt. Eric Schmidt is the chairman of a popular search engine company. And he says, Eric says something like this. He goes, from the beginning of time until 2003, humankind created 5 exabytes of digital data. An exabyte, I'm not a techie guy, but an exabyte is got 18 zeros on it. So you go from the beginning of time, you know, like in something right around the 17th century, the whole volume of the New York Times was equal to a human's information for a whole lifetime. So you go from 0 to 2003, and we create 5 digital exabytes. You go from 2003 and then to 2010, and you get the same amount. You go from 2010 to 2013, you get the same amount in 2 days. And so you go from 2013 to whatever, and suddenly that's where all the big data comes from. And I think the database companies, like my own company, are a little worried about that. More than, you know, just a lot of data. So just trying to strike some thought. On the, I'm going to move ahead a little bit here on optimization and social, but optimization is what you need to do today to kind of, in a distribution or even a manufacturer who distributes kind of environment, is you've got to be balancing how you spend on promotions better, and you have to balance that with the cost. And I'm going to talk about cost and cost to serve in just a sec. But let me take just a quick second, because I want to make some impact on this social thing. Everybody says, hey, we need to do social media. But has anybody ever seen this ad on the left? This is pretty interesting. In 2011, there was an earthquake in Washington, D.C., right? Anybody remember that? Do yourself a favor and remember this one thing when you come out of here. Go to Bing and type in faster than an earthquake and see what you get. You get this video, and video is only about 30 seconds. But the way it works is there's a statement on the top that says it took 30 seconds for the earthquake to get from Washington, D.C. up to New York. And then the next thing is they show the video of the guy in the middle, and he's got a mobile phone there, and he lifts it up, and it says he gets a tweet, and he puts it down, and then in the third picture he lifts up his coffee, and everything starts shaking, and stuff falls off the ceiling, and then he puts his coffee back down, and then it says, Twitter, faster than earthquakes. And I would have loved to show you that, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So, and it had an advertisement on it. You know, I can't do that. But I wanted to share that with you. Some other things, and the reason why I'm showing you this is you've got to be creative about this social thing. It's not like I got to get on board, but I heard this morning, as I did, you know, maybe a little bit a while ago, a couple of months ago, that we have, you know, we've acquired something that that's going to monitor all this stuff for all of us, right? So we don't have to figure it out. We just plug it into Dynamics. But some of the other cool things, this one on the right, it's called GigWalk. Has anybody ever heard of GigWalk? I wanted this to be entertaining, not like some tech thing. You can go. We got lots of sessions tomorrow on that. All right. So GigWalk is really cool. You can hire a GigWalk. Here's what GigWalk does. Has anybody ever gone to the grocery store or the, better yet, the pharmacy to get something for your spouse? And my thought is like shampoo. But my spouse doesn't, Linda doesn't just use any shampoo. So I go to the store and I can't really find what was described. So I do what? I pull my mobile phone out and I take my Windows phone and I take a picture of it. Has anybody ever done that? And then I text it real quick. And then Linda says, no, that's not the right one. And this is what's happening with GigWalk. GigWalk goes out on the web and they say, here's $5. You get $5. We'll send you, I don't know how they send the money, but they recruit people who have smartphones to go to stores, particularly retailers are picking up on this, but distributors to retail should be thinking about it. And they hire people to go and look at aisles. What's on the aisle? What's my competitor doing? And suddenly, like the one in the middle, Groupon. Has anybody heard of Groupon? Yeah, does anybody define that to me? I always heard of Groupon too, but then I went out and looked at it. And Groupon, one of the things they did was they said, hey, let's Whole Foods. I don't know if you have Whole Foods. We have Whole Foods a lot in Fort Collins. It's kind of an earthy place. But Whole Foods said, hey, let's give $10 for every $20 of grocery. And then if enough people pick it up, then the deal's on. And so what happened in that middle ad is they put on a $10 deal for $20 worth of groceries, and in about 4 minutes, the max they could afford, which was 1 million hits or 1 million coupons, was exhausted, and they ended up paying like $1.8 million or twice their budget to try to fix this up. And that was kind of one of the famous Groupon things. And then the bottom right one is for red laser. I don't know if you have red laser on your phone, but today, and put this in perspective, today you can take your phone and red laser app and click on it, and it'll tell you the price. And it'll tell you the price of competitors and where the competitor has that price. And think about that for a sec. So that's where our world's going. That's why I want you to think about some of those things. All right, on the technology side, I hear this term real time all the time. And real time to me is, here's how I'm going to define it. Real time is an event, a business event. And real time is how much time it takes to actually take some kind of action on that. And this is our goal at Microsoft Dynamics. We think that we're getting closer to real time. And this is where you get close to your customers. So I'm real big on real time. And as far as mobility goes, I think that's the future. This is the future that we have got to build into our distribution engines. If I'm a distributor today, the only way I can get people in my team to work together and to collaborate is, it's kind of like, I want to make this point, opportunity doesn't kind of put you on a schedule. Opportunity happens anytime. And if we've got the ability to make a transaction or to review a customer invoice and make a return or something right now without waiting, think of the opportunity in the mobile sales force. And I don't see a lot of distributors doing mobile. I see CRM, and I think CRM is a good way to go. But for distributors, we mostly need a little more than CRM. We need APIs back into the ERP, right? We need to know the contracts. We need the problem with that far left square, if I can go back to that for a second, is everybody has a different price. Every customer, and for most distributors, has a different price or a different contract or a different promotion. And what's the case price today? So, I think of mobility. I have really a vision to see that we can connect that kind of e-commerce transaction thing with CRM in one app. And then we got, the best of all worlds. But we sell less CRM in distribution right now because we don't have that transaction stuff. So for those of you who are partners in the room, I encourage you, there's a good opportunity for that. So, and then the role tailored is about pulling all your teams together. We're doing a good job with that. For those of you who are already AX customers and you're not happy with that, I would especially like to hear from you so my team can get better at that. But we got to get 70% or 80% of the companies, even people in filling orders and doing picking and in waves or whatever in the warehouse, we got to get everybody connected to this data. And that's the real key. And the cloud is where we're all going to bring supply chain together. I hear all this global supply chain stuff, but if you really look at what companies are doing, big companies like P&G and Campbell's and Hershey's and some of the other big distributors in the CPG space, they're working in silos. And so what we need to do is we need to connect the supply chain, and that's not going to be easy until we get on the cloud. So the cloud's coming, whether you want to get on it or not. But I would say this, a couple of cost things. For me, I think most distribution companies today could do without so much IT. IT as strategic, but not IT as a big room full of computers. That's not distributors can't keep up with that. It's not the business. And so I think the cloud's going to solve part of that. All right. And then the last thing I want to share on that page was the web. For those of you who don't go out to your website very often, I know you all have websites. For those of you who are customers or even prospective customers, if you don't go out to your website often, if you don't do what I do, which is I go to a lot of websites every day. I go to a lot of websites on weekends, and I study them. And I can tell you 90% of the websites I go to are not doing anything exciting. And I'm telling you, you're going to get beat if you don't go in this. I'll give you a statistic. Right now, I saw a presentation from Nielsen, just, the data company. Nielsen said, I think it was Nielsen, I hope it was. Anyway, they said there's 444 million shopping trips a year right now. There'll probably be twice that many in a couple of years. If there's 444 million shopping trips right now, they said more than 75% are online. And I think that's really growing. So if your website's not cool, then they're going to go to another website. So I'm really big on this. You got to jump on that. The biggest part of those statistics was there are shopping trips. Shopping is important, and it's not going to go away. My spouse likes to shop, and I like to go with her and watch how fast she can go through a store. But they say, Nielsen said, more than 85% of all those shopping trips are already decided upon when they go. So, I think shoppers like my spouse, she already knows what she's looking for. That's how she goes through the store. So think about those things. This is a picture of our vision for the supply chain. This is my goal as the leader of the distribution and consumer goods space. We can't get all the way here without that thing on the bottom that's about cloud. But we already are in the omni-channel side. We're building retail. You saw the red or blue box on my first slide. And so we're taking that retail stuff. And, a lot of distributors, particularly in the industry trades like electrical, they have counter sales. So, but you need, as a distributor, you need to let people come into your company any way they want. If they want to come in through a fax, let them come in through a fax. Encourage them, take them out to dinner. But but today everybody wants to come in through the web. And more that's going to happen. My children are out of college now, and they're, they don't do anything. I mean, they never go to the store. I wouldn't want them to go to the store. I mean, I won't tell you all about that, but the omni-channel is real important. So we need to get people to come in through all those channels, and web is that big one. And then the bottom right, there's this interoperable term, but all that's really about is we need to get people to work together with their apps. I don't know a single distributor on my customer list, and there's hundreds and maybe thousands that don't have third-party apps. You just have to. It's too difficult, and no distributors are the same. To me, all distributors are the same, even in the very same yogurt business, right? All right, or in the same cleaning supply business. So this interoperable systems, Microsoft Dynamics is pretty easy to link in. You just have to get a good integrator. Okay? All right, so that's my picture of that. A couple of other quick things. Oh boy, that's not good. All right. I'm sorry, you're not going to get any time up here. Okay, all right, I'm going to move kind of fast. But the business process game. I have a graphic after this about business processes, and I want you to think about that as much as you can. But the big trends right now, we have worked with a guy named Brent Grover. He's another good author. Brent Grover, you can go to the NAW website. You might have to pay $100 for one of his titles, but they're worth it. I've read a couple of them, and I graduated in accounting when I was an undergrad. He wrote a book called More to the Bottom Line. For those of you who are trying to up your game, get a little bit more lean in your distributor company, you need to go out and read that, More to the Bottom Line. It's about cost to serve. We're also working with IBM, I want to announce. They're going to announce this week. I didn't want to work with IBM. I love IBM. I wanted to go to work for them when I was young, but it's a big company to try to do what we're doing here. But they are deep in wholesale distribution, and they're helping us understand this cost to serve. So it's a big goal for us. I'm going to click into what business processes look like here. This is how I've aligned it. All the way on the left, collaboration, that's real hot. If you're not working with other companies, I mean, I think Microsoft's even collaborating with Oracle on some cloud stuff. I mean, that's like, I would have never imagined that. Anyway, you have to learn to collaborate. I see a lot of really hot, sharp companies that are collaborating today. And then work all the way through these. But you have to start, as I was trying to describe in the beginning, you have to take these 4 kinds of buckets of trends and look at it from a business application space, and then go out and spend your money. Then go out and hire consultants. But you need to know what business what business process am I not competing well, and start from there and work your way out on those trends. The last area I have is on apps. I hate to say this, because there might be a guy named Earl in the audience, and I have no disrespect for that, but a lot of distributors I go to today say, I ask them, how do you do your forecast? And they say, well, Earl does our forecast. He's been doing it for 25 years, and he knows the seasonality, he knows all those things. And my point about Earl is, that's not going to cut it anymore. You have to get machine learning. Write that down in your brain. You have to get machines to do the learning. Let our applications or whatever brand, if you're a prospect and you don't choose our brand, but get brands that can let machines do the work for you so that you can keep up, because you're a linear brain. You're not going to get exponential, and you got to get other resources to get things done. All right, the last couple things. Salesforce automation. I heard customer things. I love that. I think our business is going to evolve because we're getting close to customers. And I don't think Microsoft personally has done a good job with that in the past. And in homogeneous businesses, you can't necessarily do that for every Windows customer. But in ERP and CRM, especially ERP, you have to. We have to get really close to our customers. And if we do a really good job, then our customers are going to help us with another customer, right? It's the shoemaker and the elves kind of thing, right? All right. Price optimization. There's a company. I think this is so important. I don't want to skip it, even though I'm a little over on my schedule right now. There are companies right now. I'm thinking of this one called Bloomreach. Write down that, Bloomreach. Bloomreach is a brand new company that's looking at 4 or 5 billion behaviors on a daily basis and telling companies like yours where the price is going and where the demand is going. I think that is fabulous. If somebody can really execute that, I would like to buy stock in that company. But pricing is really becoming important. There's companies like Disney that know exactly how people can tolerate price in France, or can tolerate price in New Zealand or California. And they spend a lot of money. They use a product called Pros. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Pros. It's one of the brands that helps us to integrate. But Pros is one of those kinds of companies that can go out and analyze price and put a dot right where you need to be in Cleveland. So think about that, all right? And I'm going to show you an example of a good business process. We've got a partner up in the Northeast that does nothing but CRM for distributors. And I did a talk for them a while back in August or September, and they got into this really cool graphic about, I'm going to have to get close to it, the bottom one in the middle, quotes not ordered. I won't read all these, but quotes not ordered. You think about that. How many times have we made quotes in the last 2 months and those people didn't order? And it's this kind of dashboard that's enabling sales forces. All right. On our product, I'm willing to send this to anybody, so you don't need to write it down or anything. Michael Shoemaker or anybody at Microsoft can tell you how to get a hold of me, and my email and my mobile phone if you want. But this is the way I look at the solution right now. And this is how I'm kind of driving with our partners. And the workload in the middle and in the bottom are kind of the homogeneous pieces that we sell and deliver. On the top, there used to be a bunch of light blue boxes on there. I got them all dark blue or whatever. If that's purple, I'm colorblind, so I'm sorry. But I would tell you, on the left is demand planning going all the way to BI analytics, and in the middle is order to cash with a box above it called field sales and field sales mobility. And that order to cash cycle in the middle is the area that's vertical. That's the part that I would encourage you all to understand about your own business, because that's the part that's the most difficult. And we have to use some third parties in there right now. We have an order entry system, but it doesn't work the same for a food distributor. It doesn't work the same for electrical distributor. And you can't ship conduit with small parts in a UPS box, because conduit doesn't fit in a UPS box, right? Okay, so anyway, very cool about looking at the product, and we filled that out. And on the right side, I'd like to ask Eugene to come up right now and give us 5 or 10 minutes on, or maybe 5 minutes, on an overview of what we're going to deliver right now in R3. Okay, thank you. Anymore, but I can talk really loud. I'd like to let you know that Eugene is on our team. He's a solution architect, and he is been assigned to try to drill down and become an expert at WMS, TMS. Very difficult subject. But Eugene's from the Ukraine, and his family's in the Ukraine. We've been having some proud talks lately about some people that are doing a great job over there. So Eugene, jump right on that, please. Thank you.
Yes, we will not spend a little bit of time troubleshooting the resolution on this, but and I will not show you a lot of slides either today. So I'm going to jump straight into the application. We'll go through an end-to-end flow, and you'll form your own conclusions. I will then repeat what I showed you. So first of all, one of the things that is different from what we had earlier is that we have RF right now. And I apologize, machine did shut down on me, so I will. And all it needs is just a web browser. So any device that has a web browser, even the oldest RF guns that your customer might have, will work as long as they are on the network with a browser. So I've pre-created a bunch of orders, and we'll see how to receive a PO, how easy it is. And I will just scan a purchase order ID. And I'm receiving an item that you will see in the demo data, 20 of that. And you see that we have an ability to receive different units of measure, and we support conversions, of course. And since it's a license plate controlled item, note the terminology different. It's not the pallet ID. It's a license plate ID. It's different. It asks me to fill that in. LPX02, for example. Maybe I've used that one, but we'll see. So I'm receiving the item. I scanned whatever came on the pallet. It completed the work. So we can immediately observe that these items ended up in the receiving location. You note that there is no delay at all. It's real time. It talks to the same database. There is no intermediary database. So the next part is also an exciting one, more exciting one, is the put away. So I'm going to put this away into stock right now. So it's just confirming I scanned the pallet ID. It came on my forklift. I scanned it. It says, oh, there are 20 eaches on that license plate. It asked me whether I have more place on the forklift. I say, no, I don't. I'm done. And it directs me somewhere. So the exciting question is, where does it direct me to? So I update this, you see it's gone. And how did this system come up with this location? So let's take a look. The system is rather flexible in this regard and much more flexible than we had in WMS2. What you see on the screen is called location directives. So the job of this form is to define the rules that will allow you to put the items somewhere. And what we see here is everything is driven by a query. So the query is defined, okay, for anything that is received into warehouse 61, and then I click edit query, and you see it's wide open, but I have this incredible ability to add pretty much anything as a filter. So I can get as granular as, oh, this particular item goes to this location, or even this color of an item. So only the fantasy is the limit here. And then when this first condition is triggered, I go deeper into the lines, and there I have the kind of the brackets. If I'm receiving from 1 to 30, it may go directly to pick. And moreover, I can restrict it by the unit of measure. So when I'm receiving the pallets, they will always go to bulk because they won't fit anywhere else. So again, when this line is triggered, this line, and in the tradition of AX, we must have 3 grids everywhere. Again, edit query. And this query says that this item will go to a range of locations that belong to the same profile ID. And this profile ID, it kind of unites the group of locations grouped by the same characteristics, for example, size. So, and it can, again, can be very granular. I can go to individual locations, etc. Or I can use fixed locations. And there, for the fixed locations, we also have much more freedom than we used to have because we can define fixed locations for multiple units of measure, which is much better than we could in WMS2. So that defines the rules where the items end up. So let's take a look at the other things that were done. And I'm kind of trying to fit into 10 minutes what the guys worked for years. So we will see, I pre-created a sales order. So we'll pick one and take a look at what has changed. Right from the start, we noticed that there are 2 more tabs on top, warehouse and transportation. Also, what we should notice is that you'll be relieved to know that there are significant improvements in the reservation. So we noticed that this item is license plate controlled. So in WMS2, I should have entered the license plate I'm going to sell someone, which is not how it works in the warehouse, because this license plate might be at the back of somewhere, which is impossible to extract. So now we see that the reservation happened at the level of site and warehouse. So I have an ability to define at which levels I'm reserving. So until I am kicking off the process of picking, I don't have to define which batch I'm going to be picking, which serial number, etc. I can define it when I pick it. So that's change number 1, very important one. The second one is all these beautiful forms called workbenches. They are like command centers where you can kick off any kind of work you want. So here I'm looking at a load. This load has a load template ID, which is the definition of my truck, for example. This truck, it has its own limitations, like it can handle that much volume, it can handle that much weight. So that's how I'm building my loads. I'm including lines, and lines not only from the sales orders, but from purchase orders and transfer orders. And purchase orders, note that I'm able to transport my own goods to my warehouse and then transfer these costs to the purchase order lines, getting me much, much, much closer to the landed cost. So Also, what we see is the series of wonderful buttons here, menu buttons, that kick off different operations. So one of them is the rate route workbench, which is a feature of TMS module, which allows me to do rate shopping. So rate shopping allows me to select the best rate. If I click the first one, the rate, it will just do it for me. Just give me the cheapest one. So I see that the results came in, be it from an external integration or internal one in this case, from internal data. And we see that I cannot ignore this. I will assign this one. As soon as I hit the assign button, this is attached to the load, and the system keeps track of this quote that was given to us. Once it keeps track of this quote, then the following process works. And here comes my second slide, which is basically we're keeping track of the quote, and later when we receive the freight bill, we do the freight reconciliation. And this is a very good feature of this transportation module, which simplifies the freight reconciliation greatly. You get the bill at the end of the month that has hundreds of line items, and then you're able to match them. If there is a discrepancy, you're able to kick off the workflow. And then somebody could go through this in detail. Once the freight bill is posted, all these obligations to your transportation vendor are reflected in GL. Standard IP process is applied. So that's in 10 minutes or under, I hope under, the whole process. Highlights, we have out-of-the-box RF, HTML-based. We have great flexibility in definition of what our work is, where it happens according to location directives. We have a much better reservation engine. We don't reserve at the tiniest details. We now have a greater flexibility, and we have a great feature to reconcile our freight. Done.
Thank you, Eugene. That was awesome. It's good. I would like to invite Andrew D'Agostino up. I failed in my 3 early slides in the left box to announce that WB Mason is one of our key customers there. But I'm happy to let you know that I've worked on this project from its inception, and I got to be on their steering committee for a while. WB Mason, for those of you who don't know who they are, they're who but WB Mason. They work on the Northeast Corridor and are one of the world's largest office supply distributors. And they're based out of Boston, but they cover the entire United States and deliver more than 60,000 orders a day. So I wanted to get them up there, a real high-volume distributor. And please take it away, Andrew. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Michael. Sound good? Everybody hear me? Okay, great. They have me on a leash here, I guess. I haven't done this before, so they don't want me to go too far. We can actually, clicker, sorry.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Hand up. All right. So,
good.
who is WB Mason? We are a distributor of office products. Pretty much anything that needs to go to an office, we get it there on our trucks. That's the things you might think of, paper, toner, those sorts of things. But more and more, it's break room, coffee, janitorial, sanitation, custom print items, custom stamps. So it's really any kind of product that the sales transaction is fairly simple, and they just need it on the truck, and they need it that that day or the next day. We've been in business for 116 years. I've only been there for 11, comparably small amount of time, I guess. And we are currently the 4th largest office products distributor in the world. And we're privately held. We've been privately held all the way back to William Betts Mason, who started it. And really, in the last 30 years or so is when the growth has really exploded for us. And particularly in the last 10 years or so. I got there in 2002. We were about a $200 million company. About $5 million of that was coming in through the web. We're currently a $1.4 billion company, and In terms of the transactional supply business, we've got about 750 million coming through the web. So a lot of the trends that Michael was pointing out, we've lived them. And we've lived them on AX now for 3 or 4 years. We're on AX 2009. So we're based up in the Northeast. We sponsor the Red Sox, Yankees. I know there's a little conflict there, but Red Sox, Yankees, and Phillies, so you might have seen our commercials or our signs on the wall. And you might have seen our trucks. And our trucks are now actually in the 25 largest metropolitan markets in the U.S. So you'll be seeing more and more of us, hopefully, as the years go on here. We actually, one of those trends, and the mention of Amazon earlier, we actually, it's kind of amusing when we hear folks talking about getting same-day delivery out there. We've been doing that since the early 90s. So on AX, with its the 2009 capacities, which we had to expand a little bit, a lot of it's there now with the functionality we were just seeing. We're able to take an order up until about 11:30 a.m. in the major metro markets and get it to you that afternoon, say 4 p.m. or so. It's one of those things that customers over the years haven't really asked for, but it's kind of an addiction quality. They get used to that. They know that we'll be there in case they forgot that key supply they need for that day. So obviously, speed and performance of the system is a very important thing for us. I think if you look at some of the statistics there on the right side, we put AX through its paces on a daily basis. The e-commerce side is also hitting the same system, just as Eugene was saying, the WMS. There's no intermediary database. Same thing with our e-commerce site, wmason.com. There is no other database. It is hitting AX. It's 100% coming through the business connector, and it's at any given time we get a couple thousand people on there, and we're taking orders all day long. We don't really put our numbers out there. I think we'd be somewhere in the order of in the top 50 in terms of the largest e-commerce sites in the world based on the internet retailer numbers. Some other stats you see there, picks per day, 43,000. We're about 2,500 employees. We've got 600 delivery trucks. Again, mostly in the Northeast. We're denser than any of our competition in the Northeast. We have more trucks per territory than any of our competition does. 73,000 SKUs, that's fairly active SKUs. I think I went back 90 days on that. We probably have 400,000 in the database. A couple 100,000 customers growing every day. Our acquisition model is our sales rep walks through your door and tries to get you to fall in love with W. Mason and place an order. And we might have a delivery there that afternoon for you when you woke up that morning not knowing who we were. We're up to 44 locations. We believe in staying very local. We want, when you call up, talk to the person on the other phone, we want them to know the weather where you are. That matters in terms of us getting the delivery to you. So we have a wide network of small locations, 2 or 3 customer service people, up in Burlington, Vermont, Albany, Poughkeepsie. We want to be close to where our customers are. So our 2009 implementation, the prior technology we were on is nothing anyone would recognize in this room, a system called Pegasus. That was out of date. We had Mass 90 for our accounting. We eliminated those, and we eliminated countless little homegrown, frequently breaking down applets on our intranet and scattered around our network that were doing various Band-Aid kind of tasks. All those got wiped out. We also replaced our old e-commerce site, and as I said, rolled that right into the functionality of AX. Our rollout process, we deployed across the 28 locations we had at the time. We never missed a single day of delivery. We ran in parallel for a period of time. Distribution's a little scary. System goes down, something's late, especially the transaction cycle we're on. So we let each location get good at AX, so to speak. We got there, we trained them, we took a few orders that first day. They kind of get used to the system. The old system we had didn't really know what a mouse was, so we kind of had to train some people, how a mouse worked, left click, right click. We rolled through our implementation that way. We're up to about 14 AX servers, I think about 500 users on the system, internal users licensed. 4 dedicated batch servers. We beat the heck out of our batch servers. We couldn't run our business without it. The little screen next to my desk that has the CPU and memory lines for the last 3 hours on all of our machines. And most of the time the batch servers are doing more than the people. From powering our warehouse, sending out all the email receipts that you'd expect from the e-commerce experience, the invoicing process. We kick out 30,000 invoices a night. We got 3 batch servers running parallel. It's invoicing's multi-threaded to begin with, but we have them running in parallel so we can get it done in 3 hours. Otherwise, invoicing, we wouldn't be done invoicing yesterday when we have to open up for tomorrow. So that architecture, the batch architecture, has been a big piece of how AX has worked for us. As I mentioned, the e-commerce site is directly integrated into AX. We just it's a C# application we wrote, comes right in through the .NET Business Connector, and we have developers that just basically work with both. If we need to do something on the web, they can make the changes on both sides. It's been a really easy, the ease of adoption because it's part of the Microsoft family. It's has been a big boon to us in our development efforts. One thing that's going on right now, we're deploying 600 rugged handheld devices out to our drivers. We'd never done that before because technology had been holding us back, but now we're in that phase of all the wonderful new things we can do because we're not in the dark ages on technology. So we have a application, scan the packing slip, have the customer sign, get that uploaded into AX, show it to the customer online. So I think the first bullet on the right side would be my big message around why AX has worked for us. The left box that Michael's been talking about on that slide, it's so different. It's every company in that space is different too. Whether a janitorial sanitation kind of distribution company, the office supply, break room beverage, they're all a little bit different. And so we need to be able to tailor things that it's not going to be on Microsoft's roadmap for a few more years. We need to be able to tailor that last bit of experience for our customers. We believe in customer intimacy and directing our customers, answering our customers' needs directly. The access to our data in real time has totally changed our business. The training process was much easier because of the interface being so familiar. And we're really looking forward to 2012 WMS, looking at CRM to really power us going forward. So I don't know if I was under time or not.
I think that's good.
But
thank you very much,
Thank you,
Andrew.
guys.
Very complex business. And I would like to welcome Maureen Hurley up. I have worked with Maureen for a few years now, and they had to struggle with phenomenal growth. Greek yogurt, if you don't know, is driving phenomenal effort into the grocery store and actually pulling us out of the economic downturn that we had, and you can read about that. Anyway, I'm sorry we're going over a little, but I would love for those of you who want Ken to stay and listen to Maureen. She has a wonderful story, and please jump right in there, Mo.
Okay, so who we are, I'm not sure if everybody knows who Chobani is, but we're America's #1 Greek yogurt brand. We believe and started on the belief that people have great taste, they just need great options. So our journey began in 2005 to produce a all-natural, high-quality, authentic Greek yogurt product to deliver to consumers. We felt that they deserved affordable, healthy foods. So it's all natural. And we started with only 5 employees in upstate New York in a former, actually, craft facility. And we've grown tremendously. It took us 2 years to perfect that. It was important that we hit the mark and make sure it was affordable, high-quality, all-natural product. And we grew tremendously. And now we have about 2,500 employees worldwide. And we have manufacturing facilities in New York, Idaho, and Australia. Keep buzzing through too. So our business challenges, back to distribution, right? We had nothing, all right? So we had no systems. We had no way to manage our inventory. We were running everything on QuickBooks and Excel. So we had to quickly implement an ERP system that would give us insight into our inventory, our warehouse, our supply chain, and our financials. We needed to find something that would be very agile and robust, that our users could use. So not only were we changing quickly and our business was changing quickly, but our users had to be able to use the product, right? So they were excellent at Excel. So that was another one of the key pieces was the navigation. They were really used to it. So they picked that up really easily. The other piece was CRM. We also rolled out CRM. So we were really customer-faced, really social. We didn't have a commercial until last year. So we did everything through social networking. So our consumer was everything to us. So we rolled out Dynamics CRM right after we got a handle on our supply chain and inventory process and a direction to take there, to make sure we were getting the proper feedback and basically meeting our commitment. You know, if we didn't keep score, how did we know we were giving an affordable, high-quality product? We wanted to make sure we were able to do that. So why Dynamics helped, or how Dynamics helped? You know, it laid the framework out for us. Like I said, we had nothing. So we had to look at the infrastructure, what it sat on, how to support it, in addition to the application and what it delivered. So it was a solid foundation built on core frameworks. It provided an application foundation, not just an infrastructure foundation, you know, with master data, repeatable customer lists, pricing, all that, the core pieces of what builds an enterprise application. And then it went into the disciplines of what we had to have immediately. And Dynamics had all the functionality we had to have out of the box. We just had to define our business rules. Okay, so the fact that there was a sure-step process that helped us understand what those bare minimum rules were to make the whole ecosystem work properly was critical to us. We had to get order to cash established to keep up with the growth. So it stepped us through the process and said, you got to at least have these defined to make sure that sales order flowed through to production, to the raw material handling, to the production of your finished good, all the way through to distribution. So we had, you know, a lot to cover in a very short period of time. And then it allowed us to go back and fine-tune those business rules for operational excellence and more efficiency. So the first year we spent just like trying to get the process to work, getting the business an answer, getting them a solution, building out our CRM to keep making sure we kept score, and then going back and fine-tuning the process to keep improving the process. And then, you know, obviously it was the templates and the framework were tailored for our industry, which was the manufacturing and the distribution. So the full package was why we selected Dynamics, and it was the reason we were able to be successful and implement that in a very short period of time. So that's pretty much what I just went through with the real-time data, proactively servicing our customers and business partners, the fact that we had one company on 2009 when we started. We quickly were able to upgrade to 2012 because we were growing so quick. We knew that we wanted back to that sound foundation, right? We didn't want to have to roll out other companies and other entities and then have to go through the whole upgrade process. We had to really try to plan that out. And then, you know, even with our cafe, the retail portion of our cafe, and be able to consolidate that. Australia, we're able to pull that in. We finally went live with Australia this past fall, so all of our facilities are now up and running on AX. So how we do that, how we look forward, how do we continue to plan on what to roll out when, take advantage of keeping it simple, let Microsoft do the customization and the build-out of the core components, because we don't do anything different in the supply chain or distribution arenas. We make our product different. We use different, all-natural ingredients. We don't do, finance, inventory, so we don't do any of it different. So we let Microsoft build those pieces out. But we also have to keep the business moving forward, right? So we have this quarterly map that we look at, and we have reviews with the steering committee to say, hey, these are big chunks. These are 30, 60, 90-day projects. This is something that we can just fine-tune the configurations that we have and really make the process better. A lot around quality, a lot around insight to inventory, things like that. So we have one team that constantly does the agile improvements, while the other team looks at how do we keep the business moving forward without having a lot of throwaways, and allow us to then position ourselves to take that next release as fast as we can, as safe as we can, without business impact. So that's kind of our model and what we continue to do. And that's led us into, the wax and tracks. I mean, that's really critical for us. As we opened our Idaho facility and we started making different products in Idaho that we make in New York, to marry those products together and have one shipment to the customer is an amazing task to try to undertake as we're still building rules, growing our systems, and growing as a business. So we were able to quickly implement our first 3PL warehouse in 40 days using the base AIF and partnering with a third-party EDI vendor. So the second warehouse we brought up in 24 hours. It's about the framework. It's about limiting your customization, and back to partnering with third parties that already did the work for you, that will continue to grow, and not customize a lot in your core systems so that you can continue to take the releases moving forward. But there's trade-offs, right? So there's sometimes that doesn't always work. It's never a silver bullet. So we try to say, all right, if we can limit the functionality here and give them what they have to have, how much time will that buy us to then safely takes that next release? And can we give them other functionality on this side to make up for that? So this is why we say we go back to that roadmap. We're constantly juggling to make the best of our investment while still giving the most functionality to our business and leveraging our investment and working with Microsoft to keep building out. So we're a little different, in how we've had nothing and are continuing to try to juggle that ball. But we also have been successful in keeping it lean as far as customizations to be able to take those next steps. I did that really fast, sorry.
Wow, thank you very much.